We're now going to look at the definition of services and products. Service is a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customers want to achieve, without the customer having to manage specific costs and risks. The services that an organisation provides are based on one or more of its products. A product is a configuration of an organisation's resources designed to offer value for a consumer. While it's useful to understand the definition of product, as you can see, it's in a lilac box, and that means you don't need to know it for the exam. Products are typically complex and are not fully visible to the consumer. The proportion of a product that the consumer actually sees does not always represent all of the components that comprise the product and support its delivery. Organisations define which product components their consumers see and tailor them to suit their target consumer groups. What is a service offering? Service providers present their services to consumers in the form of service offerings, which describe one or more services based on one or more products. A service offering is a description of one or more services designed to address the needs of a target consumer group. A service offering may include goods, access to resources, and service actions. Let's have a look at those three in more detail. Goods. Goods are supplied to a consumer, such as a mobile phone. Ownership is transferred from the provider to the consumer, and the consumer takes the responsibility for their future use. Access to resources is granted or licensed to a consumer under agreed terms and conditions, for instance, access to a mobile network. The ownership remains with the provider. Service actions are performed to address a consumer's needs, for instance, providing user support. This is performed by the service provider according to the agreement with the consumer. What are service relationships? Service relationships are established between two or more organisations to co-create value. In a service relationship, organisations will take on the roles of service providers or service consumers. The two roles are not mutually exclusive, and organisations typically provide and consume a number of services at any given time. A service relationship is a cooperation between a service provider and a service consumer. Service relationships include service provision, service consumption, and service relationship management. Service provisioning consists of activities performed by an organisation to provide services. Service provisioning includes management of the provider's resources, configured to deliver the service, access to these resources for users, fulfillment of the agreed service actions, and service level management and continual improvement. Service provision may also include the supplying of goods. Service consumption are the activities performed by an organisation to consume services. Service consumption includes management of the consumer's resources needed to use the service, service actions performed by users, including utilising the provider's resources and requesting service actions to be fulfilled. Service consumption may also include the receiving or acquiring of goods. We're now going to look at the service relationship model. When services are delivered by the provider, they create new resources for service consumers or modify their existing ones. The service consumer can use its new or modified resources to create its own products to address the needs of another target consumer group, thus becoming a service provider. The service relationship model is shown in Figure 2.1. Service relationship management is the joint activities performed by a service provider and a service consumer to ensure continual value co-creation based on agreed and available service offerings.